Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Winning in Business. This is Kelly Rissy, your host. And today I'm so excited to be interviewing Ryan Ballheimer. Ryan and I have known each other for a couple of years. He is the CEO and founder of Ryan Ballheimer Landscape Design, LLC. And you are going to hear the story of how Ryan left his corporate job to follow his passion into the landscaping world. And it's a great one. So just be ready. Ryan has two daughters, 5 and 8, and he's married to the love of his life, who is a kindergarten teacher. And Ryan loves the outdoors. He's a ski instructor. He loves lake life, and it's all part of his passion in doing what he does to be outside in nature. So Ryan, welcome to the Winning in Business podcast.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you. So happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I know that people are wondering how you ended up, like, what were you doing in corporate and how did you get out of corporate and actually having, we didn't even say the success of your company, which we will get to at some point because you have an extremely successful company, but share just how did all this happen?
I worked in finance. I worked in corporate finance, the same company for, 18 years. I started as an intern and I majored in finance in college. My mom and I are super close. And, I really took her advice going the safe path to go into a job that I just never really, there was just never any fulfillment there for me. And I always loved landscaping. I love gardening. My first job when I was 15 was at a greenhouse. Ever since I was, 16 years old, people asked me to landscape for them. And I was just kind of like, oh, okay, sure, I guess so, and I just always loved it. And then, fast forward 18 years in a career that was just, it was okay. It was a safe paycheck and got me financially, where I needed to be. And, quite frankly, I always found myself looking out the window literally at the guys outside, taking care of the property that, I worked in, the typical office high rise. And, I just never connected the dots that I could be out there, be involved with that business and support my family. So we all got laid off from the company. The company sold. The founder sold the company, started it himself, sold it for $4 billion, and we all got laid off, all of us. And honestly, I can remember getting that email. It was like 5 a.m. Obviously they couldn't announce it for, legal reasons. And, a public company bought a private company. So, none of that could be shared with us. And I remember going into work and I was like jumping for joy. I was like, I'm out of here. And everybody was like walking around, miserable. Like, what am I going to do with my life? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do. All I know I'm going to do is not this. That's all I know. I'm never doing this again. I'm never coming back here. So anyway, I started, I had a short stint at another company after I got laid off. Honestly, it was even worse being in landscaping, not working for myself because I just had no control over my destiny. And I finally decided to go out on my own. I worked there for like 11 months and went out on my own. And I honestly had one goal. My one goal was make $50,000, go out, be extremely happy. And that's it. That's all I want to do. I don't have any goals beyond that. Literally dig holes in people's yards, plant boxwoods and plants. I love plants and be happy. And my wife agreed if we need to sell our dream home that we just built, with 2 babies at home, and move into an apartment or condo. She said, okay, fine. I'm on board with it. So, fast forward, we never had to move or anything. And, that's my story as to where I started. And I'll be honest with you, it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through, was making that decision, to having two babies at home, and having a home that, I knew, was a nice home, and my wife's a school teacher. So we can't rely on her income to support us fully. It was hard. And I had a very hard time processing that. And I had a few meltdowns and breakdowns, and after that, it was just kind of off to the races. And, I'll share kind of more as we get rolling here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's fantastic. And hopefully that you share. The biggest thing that I know right now is, after the meltdown, after the breakdown, something's coming. Right? Like, sometimes you have to go through the meltdowns and the breakdowns to then get out, and the greatness is coming after that. Maybe some people are lucky enough not to have the meltdowns and breakdowns, but for a lot of us that are in business, we typically have them. So share, going from someone who was in corporate America to now you're a business owner doing what you love. And, again, the success you just shared the other day, that you hired was it 11th or 13th employee?
13th employee.
13th. So 13th employee. And how long have you owned your company for?
This is our third year.
Third year. Okay. So amazing. Like, what ahas can you share with the listeners, whether it be quality, skills, mindset, anything that has helped you have the level of success that you have?
That's a great question. And I've really enjoyed reflecting on these, preparing. And I'm going to start with a big one. And I think, this is kind of a big picture, I think a little bit more philosophical find. And I think the biggest thing I realized, going from that goal, of me digging holes for $50,000 by myself, and that's it, to realizing, what I realized in this journey is, the world is really waiting on me, you, all of us, to deliver our talents and gifts to the world, so they can realize their dreams, and other people can realize their career dreams under your umbrella. And I think it's something going through this journey of an entrepreneur has just been the most rewarding, deep journey to realize who I am as a person. And I've realized that is my job. The world really, is waiting on me to grow this company so I can serve more people. And more people are waiting, to work with us, which is wonderful. We have a really long list of people that really want our services that sometimes is unmanageable. I'm going to say a lot of times it always is unmanageable right now. And that's a beautiful gift. That is something that I never knew was coming. And, fast forward, I don't dig the holes anymore, which I greatly miss, and I also realized that I have a whole different purpose in my company right now. Yeah,
I love going back to, the world is waiting on all of us to be living into our gifts, right? So that we are serving in the way that we are supposed to be doing, which is then lifting up everyone else in the way that they need to be lifted up and doing what they need to be. And I feel like that is so true. And like, that's literally the energy of all of that is what makes the world go around.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And I also could not have had a clue I would find that, a couple of years ago when I started out. And that is, and that's a beautiful thing. That's the evolution, I think.
And the other thing I'm going to add to that is when Ryan talks about that he has a wait list of people waiting for him to come and do their landscaping. When you go to his Facebook page, his website, and you see the work that he does, It is extraordinary. And then you'll know why he has a wait list, because it really is one of a kind. And the amount of vision that you have, and I know you work with the homeowners to, come up with the vision they want also, and then you bring it to life, but it really is a beautiful thing. So I appreciate that gift that you have. Okay, what else? What other ahas do you have for us?
I really feel like my role has changed, and what I've really realized over the last year is I get to hire more people, we call them who's. I get to hire more who's in my company to figure out the hows. It's a wonderful book. If you haven't read it, Who Not How, it's incredible. And realizing that has allowed me to fast forward our growth has just been a great realization. And I think a lot of times, entrepreneurs, we're rugged individualists. Was a good description I've heard. We'll kind of do anything we need that needs to get done to get where we're going, to get the job done. And that comes with great sacrifice in the beginning. We sacrifice a lot of time. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many hours I work or think about work. It's probably 100 hours a week. And many of us, a free day, a day off. I mean, what's that mean? A Saturday is just an extra day to do work. And so is Sunday. And, going through those times, like I say last year, I don't want to repeat 2022 anymore. And I know that those are our hardest days behind us. And I've also subscribed to the fact that we are hiring people faster and faster to take on the work and, propel us forward. And the big lesson I've learned is I always wait till it's too late. I get to the point where I know I need help. I just hired a fantastic designer on Monday, and I was just like, what am I going to do with him? How am I going to pay for him? One, what am I going to do with him? And, And now that he's here, it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, there's more work for 3 of him to be here, and Cameron, my main designer, is, he's overwhelmed. It's a huge sense of relief for him to come. And I found that pattern has repeated itself in the past, where I have always been a little too gun shy to hire people. And now I realize I'm waiting too late, and I need to get out in front of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to propel us forward to keep all of us from getting overwhelmed. There's many people on our team that they have too much on their plate, and it's not okay. I need to identify that and fix that as quick as I can.
There's a saying, slow to hire, quick to fire, but I don't think it means wait too long to hire. It just means take your time in hiring the right person, right? You know what I mean? So instead of just completely having the overwhelm of that. So yeah. So, and it sounds like you so quickly realized you brought him on. And again, now you're already can see the advantage of, and we need someone like soon, whenever that is, you can already use another person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to go back to my original comment I made. I've realized when I really get congruent with that statement of, the world is waiting on me to, deliver what I have to offer, mm-hmm. Things just really things are falling into place. Like, for example, people ask me all the time. I'm in landscaping, heavy construction. It's heavy work. It's hard work. Everyone's like, how do you find people? I can't find people. And I say, you know what? I have the opposite problem. I don't have that problem. And I'm being honest, A, I don't let myself go there. And B, I found people just drop in our lap. Brett, the guy I just hired, I worked with him at the interim landscape job. I sat with him at his desk for months, learning AutoCAD design and all the things. And he was out on a walk one day and saw a pool in a random neighborhood and said, "Who built your pool?" And they said, "Ryan Ballheimer." And we build swimming pools also, in addition to landscape. And he's like, "Oh, huh." And it turns out he was at a different job, very unhappy. And he emailed me and said, hey, are you hiring? And I was like, again, it was like, what am I going to do with you? What am I going to do with you? And I was like shaking my head no. And I said, yes. I was like, yes, we're hiring. And everyone on the team was like, yeah, we need him. And his skill set is unbelievably amazing. And we kind of, I kicked it down the road. I said, let's get in touch like later. And then we ended up emailing. I said, you know what, let's get in touch right now. And let's meet. After 2 meetings, he's like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to come work with you guys. I really like your team. And boom, he just started Monday. And today is his, 4th day or whatever. And, and that's happened with numerous people we've hired. They've just, the friends have told their friend, our team members have told their friends. And even we just hired a guy, Caesar, he's like, I'll come in March. I'm at this factory job. I really hate it. And I was like, okay, we'll come work on, a weekend or something. We're trying to catch up, with us. I'll pay you cash or whatever. And after like 2 days, he goes, okay, I'm quitting my job on Monday. And I was like, oh, you are? Wonderful. That's awesome. I said, well, what drove you to do that? And he said, I just really, I just really like it here. And I said, that's awesome. He needed a good home and I knew we could give it to him. It goes back to that. He had dreams to realize. And he's like, I work in a factory and I hate it. And he goes, I love landscaping. I just want to landscape, and he's a laborer. He's a laborer in the field. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know all the things we do yet. And he just is like a sponge. He's just like, what can I learn? I just want to know it all. And he's absolutely been fantastic over the last, he started 2.5 months ago. And it's been wonderful to have him on.
Yeah, I feel like we all know that no matter what we do in business, in our lives, we are well aware that when we are in alignment, that the universe really does, universe, God, whatever, however you look at that, it puts things in the exact timing that you need it, in the exact path you need it, and then the time just becomes right. So that's awesome. Good. Okay. What else? One more thing.
My biggest advice to people that are wanting to become entrepreneurs or maybe are new entrepreneurs, I really think there are 2 big things that for me, and I see showing up all over the place, that I've realized can set me up for like ultimate success. One is, I think people have this obsession with limiting beliefs wrapped around money. And it's crippling to businesses, especially like me. I mean, before I had this phone call, I bought a truck and a trailer, and, I was having conversations with people on my team and just, let's try to find something cheaper. Let's try to do this, let's try to do that. It's so prevalent for us to immediately have that reaction. It's too expensive. We can't afford it. And let's try to find something else. And trust me, I mean, I'm not past it yet. We're having the conversation here. And I think once you can realize, you know what, you just get to take that risk and you just bite off that thing and you see what happens. Or you can spend all your time trying to find something cheap, that, may fit in your budget exactly, waste all that time and lose all of that traction moving forward on what, do we need the truck that we're getting? No, we could get something a lot less if I could find it, if I invest a whole bunch more time to find it. Trucks are very difficult to find, almost impossible to find. I'm buying one from Kentucky. I don't even know how I'm going to get it. It's in Kentucky.
But I think it goes back to, if you keep waiting and you keep looking, like, how much money are you losing because of the jobs you can't do because you need the truck? Whereas if you just buy the truck that you found that's more expensive, you make up your return on investment faster because you have the truck. Yes?
Absolutely. The other thing is, and this I think is a big aha, I don't know, for me, taking responsibility for everything that happens in our company. We have made a ton of mistakes. We've got into building swimming pools. Our projects are very complex, and we are figuring things out as we go. And there are a lot of lessons and there are a lot of dollars that end up getting, not accounted for doing these projects. And I think the biggest mistake people make is they turn around, for example, we're building pools, and we've had the pool we're on right now, I can think of $10,000 worth of things that we had to eat in an expense. And a couple of people are like, you need to go back to the homeowner and tell them that this was an overrun and this happened and blah, blah, blah. And for me, I really like to take responsibility for what happened. One thing was I hired somebody and I counted on their expertise to give me a fair bid, and where they came in was much higher in the end, and I don't think, I think it's more important for us to realize, hey, next time I need to do a little bit more research, or I need to align with a better sub. I need to do something so I don't run into this problem, because that's my problem. That's not the homeowner's problem. The homeowner, doesn't need to eat that because of that. And we're also, we're trying to build a reputation, and I'd rather that client walk away with, yeah, I got what I wanted, more than I wanted for the price you told me. And instead of, yeah, I got what I wanted, and then you dinged me, all of these dollars in the end, because ultimately all I'm doing is I'm taking my learning lessons out on my client. Right. If I just go back to them and say, okay, you're going to pay me this, this, and this, which is sadly, I think what most people do, especially in construction. There's always, more and more expenses. And it's not necessarily because materials were more. It's because, I didn't see this coming, or I didn't do my homework. I didn't, I think that's important. And I think that's what has allowed us to really grow, because we've taken responsibility for our mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's a big life lesson, right? Not just in business, but in life, is taking responsibility for our mistakes and learning from them. As you said, you continue to learn the lessons, and that's the important things, because once you learn the lessons, then the mistakes don't have to repeat themselves. And I think there's a whole lot of, I hate to sound like my grandparents did back in the day, of this next generation. Right. But I look at the next generation's coming up, like I feel like this is a good lesson for them. You know what I mean? Like, make sure you're taking, and I also know people my age that don't always take responsibility for their mistakes. I mean, I think it's kind of, but that's definitely, and for us business owners, because you're right, our reputation is on the line as a business owner. And I agree with you. I would rather eat it myself and still have a good reputation, get referrals, everything else, then, be going back and being, oh yeah, this cost extra, all of those things. So I like those two things. And money mindset, it was interesting because I just got done having lunch with someone, and guess what we were talking about also? Money mindset. Yeah, I think it's definitely something that can always be talked about as business owners. You know what I mean? Like, where is your money mindset? And is there any block in that? And, it's something that I'm also getting ready to really look at mine. Where are my blocks in that to really excel in advance? So I think as business owners, we always have to be looking at that.
Love it. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So question for you, you mentioned a couple of your challenges. One of them being you think about work, all the time, and 2 Saturdays and Sundays can always just be more days to work. Are there any other challenges? I always like to keep it real. So as professionals, as business owners, whatever, we all have challenges. Are there any other challenge that you face?
All the challenges lead back to me. I usually create the problems, and I wrote down bottlenecks. What's my biggest challenge is bottlenecking. And I, as I make the choice to not hire the who's or hire the who's, that affects our flow, our bottlenecking. And that's been a huge problem last year. We didn't have enough people. It was my choice to not hire people. We were also growing at an explosive rate. So it was a matter of, how many people can I wrangle at once? And also realizing, maybe I don't need to wrangle people as much as I think I do. And maybe I hire the right who's and they get into their, we talk about unique ability. Maybe they get into their unique abilities and they're off creating magic like I didn't know could exist. And I see that, now I see the bottlenecking showing up in other people in the company. They're over ambitious and like, oh, I don't need help. I can handle all this. And it's like, well, you're too deep in it to realize what's really happening and see the blind spot. And now, they're mirroring me and mimicking me. And it's like, okay. And that becomes my job, is to identify the bottlenecks within me and within people in my company and take them away.
What you said was gold as a business owner, right? Because what your employees did was model what you did, right? Because it's always going to show up somewhere, and that you recognize that. And I think that's so important for business owners to do, is see, like, if I'm doing this thing, where else is that showing up? And that's so important. And I think we also need to look at, there are times when, yes, we can do it, right? Like, you're not questioning that your employee can't do something. You know what I mean? It's just like, and yes, but is this the most efficient to get what we need? And I think sometimes, I know for me, like, I have to look at myself and go, well, yes, no one's doubting that you can do this, but is it the most efficient for you to do it? Or is it better for somebody else to do it and get it off your plate? You know what I'm saying? Like, in that way of, just because we can do it and we feel like that we should put on the Superman cape and be like, sure, I can do it, doesn't always mean that it's the best and most beneficial thing for us to be doing.
Totally agree. And one of the absolute number one foundations of what we focus on at my company is called unique abilities. And
yes, I heard you said that. I love that.
Unique ability is a concept from a coaching program I'm in. And I think it's just absolutely brilliant. And the premise of unique ability is, what are the things I'm good at, I'm great at, where I can gain energy. I'm doing things, time doesn't exist. Me doing this interview with you, reflecting on all of my things we've done and growing with you. This is a growth thing for both of us, is time doesn't exist. We could have this conversation for 5 hours and I'd be like, bring it on. It's going to be, I love doing this. This is part of both of our jobs. And I truly love it. What are the things that unique ability is? What are the things that I do that give me energy, that I'm really good at, that are beneficial to my team? And that is what when I say bottlenecking, usually bottlenecking is a consequence of people not being in their unique ability, and they're doing things that it's sucking energy from them. It's painful. They're not that good at it. And that's okay. It needs to go on someone else's plate. A perfect example is spreadsheets. And I hate spreadsheets. I hate those things, make me want to gag. And to me, it's like, oh my gosh, how can I get rid of this crap work? In reality, somebody else is yearning to do that stuff. They love it. And, it truly gives them energy, and, let's do a metaphor in what I do, landscaping. I have some guys, our oldest guy, I have a father-son, and he's 58 years old, and he refuses to use any of our machines. We have, all these skid loaders, machines, that do all the heavy lifting for you. He loves working with a shovel, and he's brilliant at working with a shovel. And that's all he wants to do. And that gives him energy and life and purpose. And to a lot of people, that, that's not fun, working a shovel all day in the heat. And I just look at him and say, wow, he's such in his unique ability. There's an art to what he's doing. There's a science to what he's doing. He just loves his job, and he just wants to do that. That's what his purpose is. And he's so fully congruent with that. And that's what I want everyone on my team to be doing, is getting into their unique ability and getting rid of all the layers of the things that suck the life out of people because there is somebody else that wants to pick up that piece of puzzle. And I just think that's a golden nugget that I think companies miss, because there's so many times they focus on, you know what, blah, blah, blah is failing in their job. They are not accomplishing what I want them to do. Well, are you really focusing on what their skill set is? It might not be what you thought it was in the beginning.
Yes.
As entrepreneurs, we're just doing science, we're just doing experiments. We're seeing if this works, if this works, if this works. And that's same with people. We're all doing an experiment with our, we call them team members. We don't say employees. Our team members, I can have this big plan of this person to do this. And when they're falling apart, I quickly look at them and say, okay, what are the things that they love to do? What are their unique abilities that I'm missing? Because clearly they're not doing that very well. I need to get that off their plate. I need to get this off their plate. I need to get this. That's the thing where they're making magic. And that's the thing where when I walk away and I come back to the job and I look at what they've accomplished and I say, wow, you exceeded my expectations. I didn't know this could be, that's when the magic happens. And that's when, I think your expectations are exceeded, when people are really in that unique ability skill set.
And I think the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur is in the beginning of your business, when you're building your business and you have to be doing all the things, right? And you have to be doing the spreadsheets that you hate and that drain your energy, right? And I will say one of the things that I teach as a coach is that, let's take laundry, cooking, whatever it is at home that you do not like doing, but you have to do. You're like, yeah, like we have to clean our bathrooms or else we're living in filth. And so then it goes to knowing that that we have to do it. So if I'm going to do something that's going to drain my energy, then what can I do after that to build my energy back up? Right. So that we have that consistent energy. Then when you start being able to hire people that you can bring in that have their unique abilities and that can take over all those things, then it's it's even more of a beautiful thing.
It's where the magic happens. I'll give one more little story here. Cameron, my designer, came on board. I mean, I knew him for years and years and years. And he came on board and he said to me, your designs are awesome. And how am I going to, I'm kind of paraphrasing because it was a while ago. He was intimidated to do designs for our company because he knew our work, he knew the designs I was doing. He's like, I just don't know how I can, meet that expectation for you. These are your signature. And I really, I'm very hands off. I throw, in the words of my employees, I throw them the keys and I say, go ahead, see what happens. And when I did that with Cameron, he comes back to me with designs now that I'm like, how did you think about this? How did you get to this? This blows my mind that you came up with this. And I still see the flavor of Ryan Ballheimer Landscape Design in there. It's aligned with what he delivers, what he's thinking about. And he totally ups the game because I know he's in his unique ability. I know I've thrown him the keys and say, you go do it. He gets to go out and play. Unique ability is all about becoming a 5 and 6 year old again. Play, be curious, experiment, do all the things we did when we were that age and not worry about, the consequences of, what's going to happen. That's where the magic happens for every single person in my team, 1,000%. I see it all the time. And it's when it goes back to bottlenecking. I get to let go of it, hand it to you. If there's something that's going wrong, I'll see it, and we can talk about it and we can pivot from there. I have some pretty lofty goals to get to a certain number. We've grown to 7 figures very quick, like overnight, and we want to get to multiple pretty quick. That's a good quantifier. However, I also know the bigger picture is getting to a self-managing company and a self-multiplying company. as I remove myself as a bottlenecker and gain more who's on our team who are in their unique ability, that the company is slowly taking care of itself where it doesn't need me. I don't need to pull all the levers. And in the past, I didn't know that goal existed. I thought everything relied on Ryan because Ryan is the secret sauce of the business, and I'm not, and I'm okay with that. My unique ability is not pulling every lever in the company. It's completely different, and in a good way. I mean, that's the goal, getting to a self-managing company where I can work, far less, have lots of free days, take off for whatever time I need to, and I come back and the company has grown, without me doing all the things.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I'm curious, what accomplishments are you really proud of that you'd like to share?
Mostly, I love the accomplishment of like this work family that I've grown. And I just love, I never knew that was going to be a thing. I never knew, I didn't know how much joy and how much purpose I would gain out of that. And it just warms my heart. It makes me so happy and makes me realize I'm really doing the right thing. It's the little, as we get bigger and bigger and bigger, my role shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. And somebody said to me the other day, your job as a very high visionary, I'm a big ideas person and I've got lots of ideas. I'm a visionary. They said, one of your responsibilities as a visionary is to stay in touch with all the people on your team. The little things, having coffee with each one individually, having lunches, And I thought, wow, that's mind blowing. Like, those are the things that I'm like, oh, I hope to do that. And like, that'd be a wishful thing. And it's like, no, that's what I get to do. And, a comment from one of my employees 2 weeks ago, he said, you don't know how impactful it is when you show up to a job site and you say, you guys are doing such a good job. And, you guys are just, whatever I say to them, he said, I just hope that you never change that about you, because that motivates us to learn and grow and do better by all those little small comments that you make. And I was like, wow, I mean, that's just mind blowing stuff. It's not the big numbers, all the things, like, it's like, I actually have that kind of an impact on people. Like, that's what I really want in life. That's amazing.
And I'm going to go back to, I feel like, looking at it from the outside in, that one of the reasons you have the big numbers is because you've built the culture. You've built the family, you've built the teams, you care, you let them know they're doing a great job, right? And then when you do that, and then everybody's working hard, right? You have not once said, my guys are out there quiet quitting. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have built the culture that you're like, people are coming out of the woodworks to work for me, which then, I mean, that is just, you have built that culture, and that's why your numbers have exceeded what they have, which is really cool. Like, that's a really cool thing. So kudos to you.
Thank you. It's been so fun. And, I only say all that, the world needs more of that.
Yeah.
The world, there's a million low cost cash grab landscape companies out there that treat their employees like absolute garbage. And, two things, I'm thankful they exist, because it's like stealing candy from a baby to get employees, A, and B, clients, the world needs more. They need more of those guys showing up in their yards who care about stuff. And there's a huge deficit. And that's what I've really realized last year. And that's what's going to make us grow. The world, going back to it, the world needs that and craves it. And it's something that I'm grateful that I've gained that perspective.
I feel like what you do, Ryan, is you truly do create a ripple effect. you're an amazing human being. And you go in and you pour into your team, you pour into your family, but you pour into your team, they go out, and you pour into your clients, right? But they go out, they do the work at the homes. Then the homeowners absolutely love coming home every day, whether it be to their pool, their beautiful patio, with their landscaping, whatever it is that you've designed for them. And then that creates happiness, which then just ripples out to the next. Who are they inviting over to have a barbecue with or drinks with? You know what I mean? Like it's just rippling. And then your team members that you're instilling, this just gratitude for and thankfulness for them, then they go home to their families, and they're probably nice to their families because they've loved what they've done all day. You know what I mean? And so then that, if they have young children at home, then there's just that ripple effect. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just creating ripples everywhere.
It's so important. And again, never had this insider knowledge when I was in corporate. Mm-hmm. If someone is not about personal growth and professional development, and professional growth on our team, they just don't fit in, and they fire themselves, and someone else shows up to take their place. And it's just, I go back to the word magic. It's where the magic happens. We're all investing a lot of time in our work, and it gets to be a very rewarding place if we build that culture in so many different ways, and financially, it's okay financially to make money. That's one of our goals, is to have the highest paid landscapers, company, the best perks, the best pay, the best, all the things. That is also important too. They need to realize, they get to realize all that also within my dreams too. Those can be that I support those dreams, and I want those dreams for my guys too.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Okay. So I feel like this is such a great note to end on. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So where would you like to lead the listeners to after the podcast? Like LinkedIn, Facebook, like what? I want them to see your designs. I want them to be able to follow you. Where's the best place for them to do that? And I will attach all the links, you know what I mean? But just what platforms do you want them to follow you on?
Sure. We post the most on Facebook.
Okay.
Ryan Ballheimer Landscape Design on Facebook would be the tag or whatever.
Okay.
Instagram is just my name, Ryan Ballheimer.
Okay.
And the website is ryanballheimerlandscapedesign.com.
And so Ryan, which we did not say earlier, Ryan is located in the St. Louis area. So if you are looking for some awesome landscaping, a pool, whatever, to, brighten your home, brighten your summer, everything else. If you're tired of going to public pools, I invite you to have a call with Ryan. And Ryan, I don't know, just share real quick, like, how does someone start working with you? Does it start with a consultation? Like, what, they fill out something? What do you do? What, in case anyone is listening that wants to get in contact with you?
On our website, Cameron has put together a beautiful intake form that just asks really about your dreams and your requirements and your desires and your budget, and that's a great starting point right there.
Perfect. Okay. I figured it was something like that, but I thought we'd talk about it. Excellent. Well, and I will include, I'll include the website and all those links in the show notes. But Ryan, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your knowledge, for your expertise, for all the great things that you have brought to the show today. The unique abilities that we talked about, the bottlenecking that we talked about, just all the things that you have shared from your personal experience to help us start thinking about, are any of these things showing up in my life for the good or the bad, right? Whichever one we're thinking about. And, how can I use them to help me move forward as well? So thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure. Let's do it again.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. And for my listeners, thank you for listening. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, pass this along to someone that you also needs to know that to listen to this podcast. And then I will see you back here next week. Have a great one. Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.